Wednesday, March 13, Safety and Peace of Zion. Read Psalm 46, verses 1 to 7. How is the world poetically depicted here? Let's begin at verse 1 of Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling, Selah. There is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her just at the break of dawn. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. This psalm gives a vivid description of the world in turmoil, and it is portrayed with the images of natural disasters of unprecedented intensity in verses 2 and 3. The image of disturbed waters often depicts the rebellious nations and various problems that the wicked cause in the world, as we see in Psalm 93, verses 3 and 4. The floods have lifted up, O Lord, the floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their waves. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, than the mighty waves of the sea. And Psalm 124, verses 2 to 5. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, when men rose up against us, then they would have swallowed us alive, when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters would have overwhelmed us. The stream would have gone over our soul. Then the swollen waters would have gone over our soul. Likewise, in Psalm 46, the images of natural calamities depicts the world controlled by nations waging wars, as it said in verse 6 of Psalm 46. It is clearly a world without the knowledge of God, because God is in the midst of his people, and where God dwells, peace abounds, as we read in verses 4 and 5. Let's just read those two verses again, verses 4 and 5 of Psalm 46. There is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her just at the break of dawn. Yet, although the world rejects him, God does not abandon the world. God is present in the world by being among his people. In other words, no matter how bad things appear, God's presence is here in the world, and we can draw personal hope and encouragement from knowing this foundational truth. The Lord, who is the perfect refuge, is the source of Zion's lasting peace and security. The word that highlights the security of Zion is though in Psalm 46, verse 3. Though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling, Selah. Though the world is in turmoil, the people of God are safe. This shows that peace is not the result of total absence of trials, but God's gift to his trusting children. Unreserved trust in God can render God's child peaceful and secure in the middle of the storm, as we read in that illustration in Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 to 27. Now when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him, and suddenly a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves. But he was asleep. Then his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we are perishing. But he said to them, Why are you fearful, O you of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. So the men marveled, saying, Who can this be, that even the winds and the sea obey him? The question that poses itself is, will God leave the world to its destructive choices and actions forever? Read Psalm 46 verses 6 to 11. What is God's response to violence and destruction in the world? Psalm 46, beginning at verse 6. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who has made desolations in the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. God responds with such a force of displeasure that his word, which had created the earth, now causes the earth to melt. We saw in verse 6, the nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. Yet the melting does not end in destruction, but renewal. Notice that God extends his peace from Zion to the ends of the earth. God will make wars cease and extinguish the tools of destruction which the wicked nations use to bring oppression upon the world. As we read in verse 9, he makes wars to cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariot in the fire. This is the great hope that Christians have, which will occur at the second coming of Jesus. And so to finish the day, how do we learn to have peace and to trust God amid a world that indeed has so much turmoil? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.